Hello and welcome to the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I'm your host, Ty Christensen. What else have you seen, Kale? What else have you seen? We've got Jordan Christensen.
You looking at my garden? Are you looking at my garden?
Yes. We've got regular Cameron Mickle.
I really, really love your neighborhood.
And we have guest Aaron, also known as the Doc. What's up, Aaron?
There's no way she saw us. She didn't see us, bro.
Okay, so today we are talking about Disturbia. Disturbia! That was my best Rihanna. Almost. Not bad. Dude, I should be getting those Grammys. Okay, Disturbia came out in 2007. This movie was directed by DJ Caruso, written by Christopher Landon and Carl Ellsworth. And it stars Shia Labeouf, Sarah Romer. I thought for the longest time this was Blake Lively. I'm an idiot. I still, to this day, found out watching the credits. I'm like, where was Blake Lively mentioned? She's not in it. It's not even Blake Lively. It's got Carrie Ann Moss and David Morse, Aaron
Scariest human being on the planet.
Was it Pablo Cantillo and Matt Craven and Viola Davis? I forgot Viola Davis is in this too.
I think him and what's it called? No Country for Old Men are they're friends probably.
Javier Bardem and David Morse. Yeah. Mr. Turner. Yeah, he's he goes in the books as one of the scariest people. What else was he in? Now my mind's spinning. He was like a bad guy in a lot of other things, wasn't he? I know he was in Green Mile, but he was...
Who, David Morse?
He was in Green Mile, but was he a bad guy in Green Mile?
He's in 12 Monkeys as well, in Contact
right.
as well.
I remember seeing him in 12 Monkeys too. I did not care for that movie. Okay, so today we're going to discuss this movie. What was it like watching this movie for the first time and rewatching it for the podcast? Let's start with you, Jordan.
I honestly can't remember the first time. I remember the thoughts and stuff I had.
I do!
Which I just remember it being super fun and intense and suspenseful. And then I've seen it obviously many times since then because Shia LaBeouf, man, he just steals the screen. And rewatching it for this podcast, I think it still holds up. I think it's really funny. Obviously, I mean, it wouldn't probably be made today, the whole stalkery thing. I mean, he would actually maybe be the villain, the kid stalking his neighbor, but... I don't know.
Mr. Turner would be the hero if he got away with killing Shia LaBeouf. That's the real story. 2020. Mr. Turner's like, you spying on my neighbors? You spying on my neighbors? Gosh.
But yeah, I just absolutely love this movie. I think it's a great thriller. It's kind of a modern day take on Alfred Hitchcock's...
Rear Window.
Thank you. And
is it still modern though? This is 13 years old, man.
Oh, good point. They do have flip phones, so obviously some things have not quite aged
playing
well.
Call of Duty on the Xbox 360.
So outdated, man. Right, we've got Cameron. What was it like you watching it for the first time, and what was it like rewatching it for the podcast?
I think actually the first time I didn't watch it until I think my senior year in high school. I watched it and oh my gosh, I really loved it my first watch. It was kind of one of those hidden gems for me where I was like, I can't believe I haven't seen this. It's kind of like a classic.
Yeah, I watched it with you.
Yeah, classic teenager movie. And I just remember the whole entire time I was like, that dude's fucking insane, Jordan. I was like, he's a total 100% a killer, dude. That first time he shows up in the freaking kitchen. And he's just like, there was a lot of teachers I had in school that I wanted to kill. I was like, what the what? This man's insane. This man a sane asylum. And then
even if that's a true sentiment, keep it to yourself. You're like, don't say it out loud. Even if you really had that is not the right impression to give off.
And then rewatching for the pod. Not gonna lie, I wasn't actually super excited to rewatch it, but man, rewatching it, I just love Shia's acting, and it's such a fun movie. I love seeing him just scream and yell. I think it's the funniest thing ever. See him be super awkward. He just does a great job, and I think it still holds up really well. I don't think it's as good for me as it was the first time. Just the whole twist and everything that happened, it was so much more intense. But still, it's really solid and holds up well.
Awesome. How about you, Doc? What would you say your favorite?
Disturbia is actually one of my favorite movies. Yeah, Disturbia is actually one of my favorite movies of all time. So I watched it the first time.
Don't say that lightly.
Yeah, I remember the first time you watched it.
Yeah, a long time ago, and I'm pretty sure we rewatched it like maybe 7 times in the first month after seeing it for the first time. Like I even used to the song by This World Fair. When he finally kisses the girl, I put that like it was such an old school movie that I put it on a loop. You know how you used to set points on DVDs? You could do like point A and point B. I did that specifically for the song so I could listen to it. And then rewatching it. I mean, because it must have been maybe like 3 years since I'd seen it, last until like having to rewatch it, and it's exactly the same. I'm in love with the movie. I'm a big fan, and Shia LaBeouf's also like one of my favorite actors. Obviously, not his like personal life. I think the dude's whack, but like in terms of acting, I think the dude's probably one of the most underrated like actors around, even to the day.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we all feel that way here on the pod, man. He's one of our boys. We look after our boys.
Doc, do you remember when I watched it with you, and then so it was your first time watching it, and then you laughed when the dad's car crashed and flipped.
It's unrealistic.
And then I turned to you, I paused. I paused the movie. I turned to you and said, "If you're gonna laugh at parts that you're not supposed to laugh at, I am not watching this with you."
And then I had to tell Jordan that there's some teachers I really wanted to kill. No, I don't know, man. It was just like just watching that scene. It was like unrealistic with emotions and stuff, and I can't help but laugh when it's like you watch it and you're like, this should be intense, but at the same time, it's like that's not how it should go, and so I had to laugh.
You mean flipping through the air? I don't know.
Yeah,
it's pretty believable
because
they
the car
had some explosives
swerved
under the car.
It's like because you watch the movie, it's like the car swerves, and then there's another car that's like right in front of them that obviously was at standstill. So like, and it's a straight road. There's no curvature in that road. So you tell me this dude's just like eyeing this car, like, yeah, cool, maybe it'll move in the next 150 feet. Guess not. I'm like.
Oh my gosh! So whether or not they should have crashed, is that what you're saying?
And then it turns
like
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You'd be a good insurance underwriter. Be like, no, I don't buy it. Wasn't an accident. This thing, no,
nah, you could have prevented it.
Clear negligence could have been avoided. Not paying. Send them back.
Everybody's premiums are going up.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh, it's so crazy. So I remember watching this the first time. So our parents had went and saw this movie in the theater, and they were like, you boys aren't watching it. There's too much peeping Tomery going on
I just
here.
asked Mom today what she thought of it. She said, there's a little too much peeping Tom going on. To this day.
Nothing's changed. That's all she remembers from the film. She's like, oh, I got this crummy feeling where this teenager's spying on a girl lustfully. I'm like, yes, he very much is. Which is so funny because the first time I watched it at home in my living room. And I remember, I don't know if it was Dad or Mom, but someone was in the room with me. I'm like, oh, let's get through this scene. And like, it's like half of the movie. It's really uncomfortable. So
that's
my first viewing was not pleasant. Go ahead.
That's literally Shia LaBeouf's movies, though. I mean, you see him in Transformers, it's the exact same thing. He just watches and stares awkwardly in the distance.
Yeah, he has like these really uncomfortable encounters with his parents, and he's got no shame, man. It is weird because I watched it again, and it's just a fine thriller. I think it's great. It does stand out as far as remakes go. It's probably one of the more entertaining remakes, while still giving homages to the Alfred Hitchcock, and Jimmy Stewart, Rear Window. I did enjoy the update and also kind of making it more younger focused, because I almost feel like the movie doesn't work as they get older. Like, it only worked for Jimmy Stewart because, again, the guy is, I don't know how, he's always looked like he was 70 years old, but he had broken legs, so he was forced to be stuck at home. Whereas this one, I kind of like the update where he's not injured, but he is under house arrest. So, again, good updates with the story, and so I give it kudos to that. So it was fun rewatching it. I forgot a lot about the scares that happened and the fake scares, so it was a lot of fun to watch. So
those jump scares.
It's a fun PG-13 thriller. So let's get into a quick plot synopsis. It just says a teen living under house arrest becomes convinced his neighbor is a serial killer. So
short and sweet.
As my neighbor is next door. Yep. So we're going to get into two of our favorite things. Why don't you hit us off first, Cameron? Why don't you just tell us two of your favorite things from this movie?
I think my favorite thing about it is kind of what you alluded to a little bit earlier. I think this show keeps you like really on your toes, especially for a first watch. you're just kind of like, there's so much like misdirection and stuff in the show where you're like, oh, and you're like nervous at like certain moments where you're like, and then someone jumps out and it's like a regular person. You're like, oh, I shouldn't be scared. And then like 2 seconds after, like, oh, freak! Like they just do a really good job at like misdirecting you and keeping you on your toes during the entire film, which is like a good thriller really should do. Honestly, my second favorite thing is, oh my gosh, dude, just like David Morris's character is so creepy, and he's so, I love intelligent like serial killers, like ones that like are very meticulous, and like see like every time he interacts with him, he knows exactly what to say. Where I was thinking about him, like if I were to tell the cops or tell somebody like this dude's a serial killer, and I like, quoted back to them what he said, but then it would be like a moment where you're like, well, you had to hear how he said it, and they're like, oh yeah, sure, I'm sure he's crazy, but you're like, no, you like literally had to hear how he said it. Like for example, with the girl, he was so smart to not like do anything too over the top. He was just like, stop spying on like my neighbor's place. Like I love my privacy. Like he didn't do anything to like totally threaten them, but he's just like, I like my privacy. Like read in between the lines. He's gonna murder you.
I've never leaned in someone's car and turned off the ignition. That right there, never happened.
Okay, first off, why are her windows down?
Right there.
Why are her windows down at a parking garage? That chick deserves to die, dude. What the fudge? Like, what are you doing? You lose track of a serial killer, and then you're just like, I'm just gonna casually drive down with the windows, and then he like stops the car. I'm running him over, bro. I don't care. Slam on the gas. But yeah, just those were definitely my two favorite things.
Awesome. How about you, Doc? What's your two favorite things from this movie?
I think the first one would be like Shia LaBeouf's like facial reactions, things, you know. So like when he's crawling next to the fence, and the serial killer's like walking up, talking to that bunny. I don't know how he does it, but it's like he starts drooling on himself, and it's just really funny to watch. But it's like in the scene, you're like, oh, he must be scared if he's over here drooling on himself in public, And the other thing I like is I actually like the mom character a lot, because it's like we would like, I think I would at least like to assume like, hey, if I told my parents there's a serial killer next door, they'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, we got you. We'll back you up. And she's like, okay, teen angst. That's the only reply we get.
That's great. How about you, Jordan? Two of your favorite things?
I guess Doc kind of took mine, but I'll still just piggyback off that. I love Shia LaBeouf. I think he is the most charismatic person. Like, I know you can equate it to writers, but I've seen him in all his other movies, and he's just really quick, and I think he's like that, because after just watching Peanut Butter Falcon, I think he's just so good at both executing his deliveries and also just being really clever, and I just love his character so freaking much. And then obviously second would be serial killers. Even if they're like the absolute worst serial killer movies ever, I'll still love them. So any kind of serial killer movies, and so this one is actually good, so I'm happy that we're talking about it, because
you'd be the cop that let that poor victim go back into Jeffrey Dahmer's custody. You're like, oh, Jeffrey Dahmer is such a likable person. I'm going to let him take this screaming victim back into his clutches.
He's so charismatic.
He's so great. That's funny that you say that, Jordan, because I would say as far as thrillers that do give misdirections, I do like this movie. I think my favorite thing would have to be the killer's performance. I think it's really good. I enjoyed the whole the whole tagline where the I can't remember if it's the movie's tagline. I think that's what they call it, right? It's like every serial killer lives next door to somebody. And that very concept alone was something that intrigued me, because it's always like, well, like, I don't know, like if your killer lived far away but came out and killed you like in a field somewhere, it's just as scary of a thought. But for some reason, just having someone that's that messed up psychologically living next to you is kind of a scary thought, Like, I mean, heaven forbid, what would that do to your property value if everyone ever found out? Oh, of course, and all the victims, of course. Yeah, that matters too. But just, I
Who's
like
the true sociopath here?
The
property value.
There's a podcast about HOA.
That's right.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, just think of the depreciation. No, but seriously, like, I was just thinking, like, I do enjoy a good thriller, and I love the jump scares when they're not the sound of a violin or music that comes in, but based on, like, a bat coming through the door. Like, it actually gives a jump, and it's exciting, and it does move the story forward, and you So I would say the jump scares are effective because not too. I don't even remember any of them that were the false scares. They had a few of those where like phones would go off and stuff like that. But again, none of the fake sounding stuff. Good jump scares overall. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. I felt like I don't remember being jump scared when it wasn't actually something.
Just when the mom came up behind him.
Yeah.
He's like, oh,
that's right.
Mom,
See,
you're
there
a
was
ninja.
But did they play any music though or not? He freaked out, but did they play music?
I don't remember.
I don't
Well,
know.
they,
remember.
they
See,
played
yeah, it was
music.
kind of one of those-
They played music when Ronnie was missing, and he was like over here searching for stuff right next to his windowsill. And they played the music and moved the camera right behind him to like show that there's about to be somebody. And turn around, there's like nothing. You know?
Yes, yeah, there was those moments, but to me, it's the jump scares that does the loud violin music when someone like touches your back or something, right? Because you're right, the mom
Like
did come
wait
up behind
until
him and
dark
freak him
that
out.
jump.
But somehow that one works. I don't know why, but maybe just because whatever that music was, it probably launched that guy into the next room. Seriously. So, yeah, I love that, and I think that my second favorite thing is something I quote all the time is the boy who cried wolf concept, where I love when they're finally calling saying this boy
Yes,
is, you know.
you do quote this a lot.
I quote this all the time. I don't know why, but the cop's in his car and he's like, yeah, I'll take care of it. When I take care of it. And he takes a bite of his hamburger. I don't know why. It's probably my favorite quote. And I love the idea of a boy who cried wolf. And then just when he needs it and he's actually finally telling the truth. Well, he thought he was telling the truth the whole time and he was, but no one believed him. And then it finally comes to the matter of fact where had they responded in an early enough time, but because of all the false cries before, false alarms, they weren't able to help. So I love that because it kind of takes the whole turn of the vigilante justice stuff, which I think is always fun in movies. I'm not advocating people going out there and shooting up your neighbors that you're suspicious of, but I love that premise.
I think they do a really good job too of kind of like keeping you with that perspective of kind of like every once in a while you kind of think back at it and you're kind of like they're kind of being like, especially if you didn't know what the audience knew, you're like, if we didn't know what they've seen, like I could see how people would be like, you're kind of being really rude and invading his privacy, like going into his garage and like pestering him at like while he's at the grocery store. And I could see how this could look really bad on their part. So it's like very understandable when people don't believe them.
Yes, and which I think is interesting because they show the scene with the blood on the window when no one else sees it but us as the audience. And I almost wish they had enough self-control to not do that, because to their credit, Alfred Hitchcock, that was why I loved Rear Window so much, because you didn't know, you never saw any act of violence from the perpetrator, the guy that Jimmy Stewart was suspicious of. You never saw
Until
it.
the end, yeah.
He was always a master of suspense because he actually made you believe maybe Jimmy Stewart is wrong about this guy and maybe your protagonist is completely wrong. And at the end, it's revealed. So yeah, this one, it bothered me just a little bit.
But did you ever think he was not an actual killer type? The second he started speaking,
the
it's
second,
like...
the second he's in the
because
house
it wouldn't be a movie. See, I would remake Disturbia today in 2021, and the whole movie, you find out that the person that stalked him ends up going so crazy, he ends up killing his neighbor, and then he becomes a serial killer.
Yeah,
but that's The Good Neighbor. That is literally The Good Neighbor. Do you remember that movie?
Oh, that's right. I remember. Wait, The Good Neighbor. Wait, who kills him? Oh, wait. Yeah. That's
it's
funny.
literally what you just said.
That is so funny you mentioned The Good Neighbor. I didn't even think of that when I watched this movie. But it's so funny that you mentioned that now and how similar they are. I always just think of Rear Window, but that would be another good movie to compare this to if you like this movie. Doc, have you seen The Good Neighbor? Is that movie?
No, I've also never seen the rearview mirror or whatever.
Yeah. Look up the Good Neighbor. That's a good one that has vibes very similar to this one. And also the movie Housebound. That's the other one.
Oh,
that always
Housebound,
makes
yeah.
It's another girl that's, it's a UK or is it New Zealand? I can't remember.
Yes, I think in New
Might be
Zealand.
New
Because it's
Zealand.
the same actress from The Hunt for the Wilder People.
Yes.
Same mom.
Child Left Behind?
She gets under home arrest or house arrest, and it's a really
No,
good
not her.
movie.
The mom.
The mom, yeah, from
Ricky Baker?
Yeah, the auntie. So yeah, those are my two favorite things. So anyway, nitpicks. I've got a few of them. I didn't really understand how. Again, I guess losing your dad gives you an excuse to be a total to your mom, but like I didn't understand that relationship because they seemed like they were friends, fast friends. Like when he's talking to his dad, he's like, "Hey, she wants to know if we're going to buy fish again because we didn't get any fish while we were fly fishing." Right before the accident with the dad. I just didn't understand why his relationship with his mom was so strained. I guess because the dad was not there, he was acting out and he kept getting into trouble, and therefore he took it out on his mom. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was probably because it's unfair for Shia to act out like towards his mom, because I mean she's obviously dealing with it, if not at a more extensive level than him, because I mean it's her
spouse,
it's her
versus father.
yeah, versus father. So I think that probably is what created the separation and the divide, is because he probably was really distant with her and like probably like angry or whatever, and probably angry at her because he's angry at himself, probably thinking that he caused his own father's death because of his like inability to pay attention. And so I think
evident by smashing his teacher in the face, because
Ty, he said I popped him in the face. When you say popped,
what do you mean?
I punched him in the face.
I love it too. He's like keep us there, and he's like.
I pushed him in the face.
Sorry, I didn't read that far into the chapter. It's like the end of the summer. I'm like, you don't know what have you done?
Well, that's what stressed me out. Everyone else spoke really good Spanish, but he didn't know anything. I'm like, did he get through all his Spanish?
I'm like,
what? Yeah, the other kids were... Right.
Mexico?
He was so fluid that he was making a joke of the word kiss, which means perhaps, right?
Dude. And I can testify as a witness that no high school Spanish class has that much paying attention and that much like Spanish being spoken at one time. That's absolute bullcrap. That whole kiss thing would not land. Everyone would be like, why is he just saying kiss like in the class? Like what?
That's the only thing they did understand.
Pays attention in high school language classes. So that's not great. Believable at all. It reminds me of Ferris Bueller or whatever, when everyone's like, oh, me. Raising their hand.
Or Better Off Dead, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is, yeah.
I love it. Any other nitpicks you guys have? There's a few other ones.
It was slightly, it wasn't super cheesy the first time I watched it, but a little bit watching the second time, like the garage scene. I mean, like if you're banging around in the guy's garage, he's not gonna be like, oh, it's just the wind. Like, like especially a serial killer. My man's like, he's on your like business. Like nobody's like business. Like he definitely would have found you real quick. So I don't know. I thought it was kind of funny. He's like, oh, he's gonna find me. I gotta be quiet.
Yeah, I think he's in here.
He's not gonna hear that. House. Like what?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I think he's in here.
It's absurd.
Dude, I would have laughed so hard if he would have like said something into the comm like, hey baby.
Oh, I guess I guess
my gripe, and I hate saying this, I wish there was one more victim or two. I wanted to see more, because the freaking cop died, but Ronnie didn't. And not that I want Ronnie to die, but I'm like, there needs to be more victims. Okay,
well, and I have
like
two nitpicks, I guess. Do we think he came away after getting beaten in the face with a bat? Do you think he would have just came away with just a bruised eye? I don't know. Would he have lived that? Maybe some serious in a coma.
Yeah, you could kill someone, but maybe one hit. I mean, he definitely would go.
Oh, you talk about when he makes it in the house and he just knocks him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would have. Yeah. It's not a bruised eye. You would have broken his orbital socket. That dude would have had a concussion. He would have woken up like confused. Like,
for sure. How long was it after the incident? Right, because it almost seems like an epilogue.
It was it was literally. It was literally probably the next morning.
They live in the same reality as Unhinged, you know? It's just, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. You got hit with a metal baseball bat to the temple.
The other nitpick I had was, do we believe his little speech would have gotten him out of spying on his neighbor girl?
Thank you. I was literally just going to mention, thanks to a team of writers, you tried to make this Peeping Tom the most charming personality. And that's Shia LaBeouf, but you're probably the only one of the persons in the world that likes pizza flavored chips. Like, oh, you're hot. It's like, you can spy them.
That's got to be the sweetest thing I've ever heard. The fact that he knows you like those chips, like, from a distance, that's creepy fudge. And that's the thing, too, dude. Dude, all creepiness is put aside if, you're attractive, I guess. Like, what the fudge? If she finds you attractive,
yes.
All creepiness.
Do you think Shia LaBeouf is an attractive man, though? See, I'm kind of torn. I think he's pretty average.
Yeah, he's definitely. I mean, he's kind of got the charisma going for him, and he's got some game.
He does have a French-sounding name, I think, so that gives him a few points.
Don't disrespect even Stevens like that. He's a looker.
Tight. And plus, she's probably into what's it called? Her being pretty attractive. She's probably into those bad boys. And first thing she ever saw him was getting arrested. So she's probably into that.
Just like, oh my gosh.
She's like, they're so hot.
I mean, a guy who can't run away from me finally.
Yeah, maybe she's the crazy one. Maybe she's been peeping on him before.
No, I mean, I will agree. It's sort of creepy, his speech. I'd be like, yeah, okay, awesome, you're a total weirdo. But it's sort of like how you get those people on dating apps. You get those dudes on dating apps who it's like they don't match with the female, and so they like turn around, they snap them, they go, oh, hey, I saw you have a dog, and it's like, Cool. That's weird, but all right. Thank you. Thanks for that.
Or no, this is true. I was watching. I don't know if it was Making a Murderer or one of the other Netflix originals, like last year or the year before. And this is like a phenomenon. There are women out there that will start writing serial killers after they've been convicted because there's something about having a man that's killed other people that really turns on these psycho women. I'm not kidding. Like, that's a real thing. They freaked me out when I heard about it, though. So they have all these women writing in, like, you're when you get out, if you ever get out, find
Stockholm
me.
Well, it's like the Ted Bundy movie with Zac Efron. He's got that number one fan.
Yeah. Well, and again, he was so charming. I didn't know that any of the women liked him after they knew, because they liked him before because he was so charismatic.
Oh yeah, but he had a massive female fan base after they found out he was a serial killer.
Jeez,
it's like that's
isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's weird.
It's crazy.
It's the gap. It's a gap tooth. That's what does it for him.
Yeah. The gap tooth.
So Doc, I was talking to your sister, and she said she's like obsessed with you, and she says she actually
Wait,
likes.
clarify. We're talking about the
TV
show,
series.
right?
Yes. Yeah, the TV
So your
series.
sister is not
okay.
obsessed
All
with
right.
you.
Thank you. I was like, that's
Oh,
weird.
sorry. I'm sorry. That sounded
You've gotten
weird.
into
Okay.
trouble on this podcast before because of the stupid show titled You.
Okay,
I
well,
love you.
So she's obsessed
Like,
with
wow, I
the
love
show,
you
and
too.
she just said she says it was really hot when he was like spying on her and stuff.
That's
and I was like,
that's creepy.
What?
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
creepy.
But
You
for
got
some
people.
reason, dude,
People got that Stockholm syndrome, man. I don't understand it.
For sure. Yeah.
Could you picture
again,
if
I
people
don't
were
buy-
honest and put that in like their bios? I love serial killers. I love being stalked. Like, I'd block them.
Yeah, I don't believe for a second that Shia LaBeouf pegs her as the girl that eats the pizza flavored chips, that's insecure, stays on the roof, hates her parents. I mean, yeah, every kid hates
Yeah,
their
and when she
parents
comes
at
back
this
to look
age.
at herself
Like,
in the mirror, does she actually thinking, "Who am I?" Or is she just like, "Oh, I got to make sure I look pretty"?
yeah,
I
every
got
time
acne on
you
my face. I
hesitate,
gotta cover
it's
it up.
like, yeah, you're gonna hesitate. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you hesitate and you think, I just wonder, who am I really? Like, what the fudge?
What have been funny as crap is if he did this whole speech and she's like, none of that is accurate. You know?
None of that is accurate. I'm going back to listen to Buck Cherry and making out with the captain of the high school football team. Okay.
I love my parents.
Yeah,
I know who I am.
Go ahead,
Gosh
conform.
dang. I'm gonna go conform with all the other ones. Yeah. And these parties. I mean, I get it, but no.
Also,
I don't get any of that.
nitpick. Can we address how much of a his freaking Spanish teacher is? Like, my man's like squaring up with his student, and he's like, his dad died. He's like, "What would your father think?" What the fuck?
What would your father think about failing Spanish?
Yeah, and he's like, "Can you spare us a little bit of your awake time?" I'm like, "Jeez." Like, that's one
Yeah,
way to
dude.
talk to a school shooter. Like, what? You're on his list. I can tell you that much. I had a kid tell me that he was like, he told me that if he was ever gonna shoot up the school, I was good friends with him. He was like, he was pretty weird, but I love him. And he was like, if I ever shoot up the school, I'll send you a text before. I was like, thanks, dog.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my word.
Oh man, high school.
Oh my gosh. And then we find out Cameron just created an alter ego and it was him all along.
Yeah, it's just like Fight Club.
He was gonna kill
My alter
Fight
ego.
Club, man. Tyler Durden. It's so funny. Any other nitpicks? I
My
would just
alter
say
ego is Jake Gyllenhaal.
I would say one nitpick again. We don't know how soon after the cop ended up driving over to Shia's place, Kale's place. But if he said I was going to take care of it and it shows up later to dispatch, doesn't that reflect badly on him? Because I don't know.
Well,
Because I know they have GPS trackers, and he said he would be over there. And if he because supposedly the alarm was going off because he was breaking the boundary of the distance from the.
And are we also to
central
believe
hub
that
or
he
whatever.
wouldn't look? Because that's like what they teach cops is to check every corner, and he didn't check the one corner the guy was hiding
Yeah.
behind. I don't know. I guess he was like using his little radio to call him in backup, but
Clearly, he
Yeah,
cheated
that's the
in
other
police
thing.
School.
Cops have backup in general. If you're going to go to a breaking and entering and a dude's already been like under house arrest and has an electric monitor, he should
Right.
go with backup in general.
Immediately when he got to the house, he should have been like, we have a
backup.
Yeah,
we
he's turning
believe
into
that
John Wayne. I got it on my own.
because
Like, what?
he
Yeah.
already knows what Shia thinks of his neighbor. Like he already had this whole plot of where he killed the neighbors, and he's like, we got this kid now that's
Probably
convinced that his
armed.
neighbor's a murderer.
Yeah.
Probably
this
harmed
kid's
him,
probably
yeah.
crazier than him.
Yeah, they were probably, and that's why I still think they would have called earlier.
It's his
with
muscles,
that,
man.
but
His muscles gave him away. He's like, I got this. I bench press. I'm gonna push him so hard away.
Right. Yeah, because I like Officer Gutierrez. I was sad that he had to go, but I did want more victims in the end. I think
you know that Spanish teacher? That was my cousin. I thought that was a little cheesy.
that was a great line. Yeah, I liked
It
that.
was funny, yeah.
And Viola Davis showing up twice in this movie, I was like, wow, I can't believe that she was in this film. But I guess, it's like, before I've seen her in anything else, but, and then she's on Getting Away with Murder. Viola Davis.
Yeah, I was saying, Get Away with
she's in, like,
Murder.
every movie
Good
now.
though. She good in that.
She's like Meryl Streep now. She's in everything. Like, you need a dramatic. Isn't she in Suicide Squad now? Right? Like, that's where I know her from.
Yeah, she's
right.
Yeah.
Just somehow you would think like she'd be the best part of that movie, and yet she's not. It's the inconsistency and the mood that's all over the place. That's the best part of Suicide Squad, and the fact that they're making another one called
Best
The
comedy.
Suicide Squad.
First one was one of the best comedies
unintentional comedy. The Enchantress dancing a beam into the sky.
Slipknot, a man who can
over
get
that.
out of anything except this film.
Oh, when he gets shot, yeah, he's like ziplining. He can get out of anything. Can
Just
anyone with
blow-
a grappling hook get out of anything? His power is getting out of
his
anything.
brains.
All right, Disturbia. Any other nitpicks you guys had?
That car scene. Just that car scene.
Oh my gosh.
It's like no way.
It was an emotional moment, all right?
I think they did a good job of kind of like helping you kind of give that background, because a lot of movies struggle and they spend too much time on it. I did enjoy how they did like a quick kind of showing you him and his dad
Very quick.
relationship, why it was important to him that he died. Because a lot of
And it
movies
was
are,
good.
25 minutes. I'm like, but
Yeah, and it
the car
wasn't.
was
Yeah,
like-
it wasn't rushed
forced or
either.
anything.
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah,
forced
and
at all. Yeah, it was good.
I loved it. I love his talk with his dad, where he's like, "Is there anything
Yes.
you want to tell me?" And he's like, "Well, I got a girl pregnant."
Yeah.
And so I'm like going out to Vegas and visit her, and he's just like, "All right, you idiot." And he's like, he knows
Smart
he's
aleck.
messing with them. Yeah, smart aleck. He's like, you kind of see their relationship, so they did a good job on that in the beginning.
Yeah, we all wanted a dad like that, and too bad. If it's too good to be true in a horror movie and you have a good relationship with somebody,
He's gonna
goodbye,
die.
they're dead now. Yeah, we can't have a movie that's too easy. The good people that you love so much, they're dead. They're all dead. They're all gonna die.
Very uplifting
No good
message.
relationships last. We're dead. Except the girls in high school that you peep on them, and then someday
fall
they'll come
in
over
love
to your
with
house
you.
and be so impressed with how much you've peeped on them. Because if you peep long enough, you can
you
know
peep long enough and
what
ru-
they
and
think
ruin
when they
their
look at
party,
themselves in the mirror.
That's
Ruin
the
their
way to their
party.
heart.
Is ruining a party with like Minnie Riperton? Is that really ruin it though? I mean, that was a good song. I'd play that.
I love how he puts it on and instantly everyone's like, "Oh, boo!" I'm like, what? I would just be like,
And
well,
then
what's,
it's
like,
up
why
to
is there
Blake
two different
Lively to
songs?
go over there and shut him up or something. I guess she knew it was Shia, but anyway. Yeah. Oh, and then the other thing I was going to say is, I guess if you get someone's hands duct taped up and write the suicide note, yeah, I guess he could have gotten away with it. I just don't know. I don't know how.
Well, I think he would have booked it to somewhere. He would have moved, but
Would that have also increased suspicion, though?
Also,
well, not right away.
Also, how did my man fix his the dent in his car without moving his car? I guess he just is like a master mechanic as well.
No, they got those. You've never seen those things? They have those suctions where you suction it on, you like twist it out,
Yeah.
and it pops up. Yeah, it's an old infomercial.
But I mean, this is 2007. Did they exist back then?
Yeah, it's an old infomercial. Yeah, I mean, it would have to.
He was probably watching it. He was probably watching it that night after.
He's like,
he
wow,
got
I
in the
gotta
accident."
get this. I just hit a woman.
Yeah.
Give
That
me
was part of
everything
my
you
other thing,
have in your
too.
stock.
Well, that was part of the other thing too, where it's like, okay, so he has a wig of like the lady and dresses up as the lady, drives the lady's car away from the neighborhood, I guess, to keep up appearances, and then what? He walks back home or hitchhikes back home or something, right?
What,
Like,
you've never taken a bus before, Ty?
after I murdered someone, no, I'd never just taken someone else's car, abandoned it somewhere, and then took a bus back home. Like, I don't know. I guess he could get back, pay with cash and everything.
I mean,
I'm just
that is-
trying to logistically think about how he gets away with
that is an
murder.
interesting like mindset though. It's like what happens off camera, and you have to start working that together. It's like, where did he bring the car? Nobody looked for the car. Nobody dusted for prints. And then you got some dude who looks like a transvestite taking public transit back to like some suburban town. Like,
Or he dressed just like the lady for the walk to his house to the car, and then once he got to his destination, he changed it. But see, where would he change his appearance? You're right. Like, would he still dress up as a transvestite? I don't know.
You never seen a public bathroom, Ty? Just, Not that I have experience.
So
I'm
he's
like,
using a
this is how
public
I do
bath-
it.
He's using a public bathroom. It's like a Mrs. Doubtfire where he walks into the men's room or the
Oh,
women's
that's
room and
right.
comes out
Comes out
dressed
a
like a
woman.
man. It's like, what the fudge? What are you doing in here? In 2007, they would have batted an eye, but here in 2021, we would have been like, oh, you're in the bathroom you identify with, so it doesn't matter. But I'm so confused by that because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't, I mean, okay. One thing that bothered me too is like he has all these freezers and everything, and I love to see. I guess it was creepy enough, but I just wanted to see something. But I do love when he has the freaky lawn trimmers and he's like scraping the ice. Like it gives you that unnerving feeling where he's like he stores body parts and everything, but we never see it. And the other thing I was going to mention is the smell. One of the bags is ripped open, isn't it? One of the bags clearly looks ripped open. Maybe if I'm not remembering it right, that lady in the basement, she'd be stinky. Everyone in the neighborhood would smell it. I'm just saying.
I just want to say I give the movie major props for its suspense. Like, I love when he's zooming in on the photo and he's like, enhancing, and all of a sudden, he sees the face. And there's just a lot of good, or the part where he's trying to get the camera off the tripod and accidentally takes a picture, and then he looks up and the guy's staring at him. Like, there's a lot of good moments like that.
The next morning, he's fetching in his kitchen. Ah!
In his kitchen.
He's like, calm down. I'm like, oh my gosh.
There's
Can
a
we
lot
t-
of good movies like that.
Can we talk about the knife he used to butter his bagel? It seemed like a little bit excessive. Dude has he has like a massive knife. It's like, did you really need that,
Watermelon
man?
cutter, yeah.
Yeah, like come on, man. And then he's like, oh, it's a $60 at Bed Bath. Like, you would think that you could just go to the dollar store if you want cheap knives. Like, they're all gonna do the exact same thing. What are you wasting $60 at Bed Bath for?
And he would know the exact price for that knife. Freaking, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm liking this, Doc. What else can we defend this serial killer on?
I mean, it's true though.
He was just killing
And
prostitutes.
in case of smell, I mean, you can use chemicals for that. So
This is true.
yeah, maybe he's just a big avid he's a purveyor of Egyptian mummies.
I love it. Oh my gosh. All right, do we have
Any last
quotes? Are we on quotes?
Yeah, let's get to quotes. Any quotes you guys wanted to say? Shout them out as you think of them.
You made the Tower of Twinkies. Is that in the stalker's manual? I'm not a stalker.
I like.
Try to keep tonight.
I like. What does he say? I like my privacy. I really enjoy my privacy, or something like that. I can't remember what he said.
Yeah.
He's threatening her,
love,
and yet.
I love it when
however he says it.
When the kids throw like the water balloons at him, or whatever, he's like chasing after him, and then he's like, I got you now. Whatever like the school is, or whatever, it's like Timpview or whatever. He's like, got you now, Timpview. I was like, oh my god,
Got you now,
Are you sure?
Greenwald.
You better
Greenwald,
you better not be
sure.
listed.
How do we know that Shia isn't a serial killer as well?
Yeah. Well, my thing is like, if he was wrong about the whole serial killer thing, it's like, how do you hold like, hey, yeah, sorry, I was under house arrest. I just my hobby is stalking my entire neighborhood. I guess like it's weird.
I like when he walks in. He's like, "It reeks in here. What's it smell like? The corpse of a rotting hottie." Ronnie was so funny, and then he's just like, "Operation Stupid is officially over" when he's in the garage. That was the other line.
The funny thing is that dude's like that in real life too. If you ever watch like interviews with him, or like because again, I'm a big fan of Disturbia, so I watched it, but I watched the director's cut where they're all like doing sort of like a round table talking about it. Dude, like they dialed this dude in, and they're like, "What are you doing?" He's like wearing a giant diaper, and we're like, "What?" And like, dude's really weird, like naturally. So I think he was a great addition to that movie.
No,
Yeah, he was.
so funny.
Well, him and Shia have great chemistry. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Do you realize what I've been through?
Spits all over him.
Yeah, he's just yelling at him. That's so funny.
Can we also talk about the whole he's playing his Xbox, and it's like we know for a fact there's nobody on the other end of that mic, but he's talking like there's a 5-man like hitman squad playing that game with him. I give him mad props for that.
And since when is he a Navy SEAL? Like my man's
Yeah.
giving directions, and he's like,
Yeah, he's great. Or like
"Move
the
on
whole
me." I was
MacGyver
like,
scene.
Yeah, 3:00.
Yeah. Or it's like the whole movie is like he looks literally just like he would smoke a lot of like weed, and he turns around, and then all of a sudden he's a mad genius, and he's like fixing up these cameras and stuff. You're like, where did all this come from? You don't pay attention in school. You punch your teachers in the mouth. You play Xbox all day. And all of a sudden, you're inventing these like drones in your bedroom.
Isn't that what happens though when our parents get rid of our technology? Suddenly, our brains start to work better. Is that what we're to believe?
Dude, I love the scene where he calls his mom dramatic or whatever. I'm like, never call a woman dramatic. She's like, this is dramatic.
Does she cut his TV cord, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could have just gone to any other TV and like plugged it in and be like, oh.
Not the one in his bedroom. Mom!
Yeah.
Get
Yeah,
in my
now
room!
he has to go to the living room to plug in his Xbox and play video games.
That's right.
No, but she cut his Xbox Live, remember, Aaron?
What took you so long?
that's right,
We were
yeah.
upstairs playing video games. That was good.
Chica
like video
calientes.
I like video games. Yeah, I don't buy it. I don't buy that. She's like, I'm just gonna hang out with these two losers.
Yeah,
No,
not
Yeah,
I
right.
don't buy it. And I don't
Not
buy
a
that guy's
chance.
basement. Are you kidding me? That basement. He had a giant, like, watery grave in the my basement's unfinished. Doesn't have anything like that, dude. Giant gaping hole for like
He
watery
customized it though,
graves.
Ty.
Yeah, but that house would have like sunk or something.
Yeah, and that smell. Oh my gosh, the smell.
I don't know. I saw
ripped. I swear.
somebody designing like an indoor pool inside their house, and I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible,
He was
Yeah,
digging
but you
his
have to
own
figure
pool.
if the people who designed that, they also probably bring in a lot of stuff and don't care if anybody's watching. This dude would have had to modify his house and unscoop all that dirt and somehow make nobody see it in a
Oh.
2-seater Mustang. Like,
Yeah.
red flags.
Okay, you got me there, but
He's a hedgehog. He just ate it all.
Yeah.
He ate the dirt.
He used it as a fertilizer for his garden.
or he did it over the course of like 10 years. What was that movie, Cameron? Where he escapes by digging and putting in their little
Count of
bucket
Monte
of poo.
Cristo.
Yeah, he could have been doing that, just pouring little bits every day into the toilet.
Also,
that's way
I don't
too
know
much patience.
who can grab a freaking wild rabbit with their bare hands. That's
Well, it
terrifying.
was trapped.
Was it trapped?
Yeah, it was.
yeah,
Yeah, it wasn't running around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
I
grabbed
thought
it
he was
out.
Patrick grabbed it.
yeah. He grabbed it out of the cage.
Rabbit hands.
Man,
Stealing
superhero.
vegetables from my garden. I seen you. Yeah, that was probably my favorite fake scare. Is just how creepy that is. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he just like straight up
Yeah, oh,
calls
yeah.
at him.
He has
that scene
the
is so
perfect
great.
like Southern loving voice for like, hey, I'm gonna kill you now, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Mini Tycho or Psycho. What do they call her? Mini Psycho.
Yeah,
How do
skinny
you know that
skinny
name?
Skyko. Yeah.
How do you know that name?
Why'd you say that, nerd?
Yeah, that's what I thought of when she said that.
Why'd you say it?
I want to Photoshop his mouth over her voice as soon as she says that.
Why'd you say that? Oh my gosh. Oh, and then one last thing that Ronnie said. I remember when he's in the garage trying to jig. Or wait, was it before he got in the garage or when he was in the?
Oh, it was
I
like,
can't
that's
remember what
so
it was. He
much
goes,
easier
it looks a
on
lot hard. It looked a lot easier on the internet. He's trying to. Yeah, he's trying to jimmy the open his car door.
Yeah,
to get
that
the
was
garage
before the
opener.
garage. That was like in the
I love it.
beginning.
Yeah, trying to break into his car to get the garage opener and then
And he's
get
like,
the code.
"Why do you sound so nervous, man?" He's like, he's like, I'm out of here. And he's like, you're already so close. He's like, get back there and tell me. the
Oh, I
numbers."
love how much Shia LaBeouf's always telling him, like, calm down, everything's fine, you're fine, just keep doing it.
Yeah.
He's in the safety of his home, and then Ronnie's literally in the serial killer's house.
You got this.
Yeah.
You're fine, dude.
You got this,
chill.
you're fine,
Yeah.
you're fine.
Stop
And he wasn't even
overreacting.
being a good lookout. He was not being a good lookout.
No.
Dude. He was like, he was distracted by everything else. He kept watching with the footage. He wasn't looking at where he was. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, the garage door's closing. It's like, where were you?
Oh my god.
That's like playing games. I'm serious with Doc. You all the time. You're always like, everything's fine. You're good. You're good. And then you're like, okay, and then you're killing me.
You gotta trust the person watching out for you, man.
No, for sure.
Obviously, that's not Shia LaBeouf.
So do you guys recommend Disturbia?
For
Oh
sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, this is a fun thriller for sure. If you're easily grossed out, don't watch those evil, creeping, rotting corpses. They're all blue and
Yeah.
gross and
Yeah,
bloated.
The end,
So
the
nasty.
end is a little scary for some people.
Oh, that's a perfect
Scary
nitpick,
person.
actually. So you know how like there's nobody in the basement, and he goes down in the basement to save his mother. How does this dude miraculously materialize behind her? He closes the basement door on Shia, like
it,
when
it
he's
looked like there was darkness,
Big
and I
area.
imagine he like there's more path. That's
But
what
it's
I
like
imagined.
he was like maybe 10 feet away from his mom, and
How big is this basement? Is my point. Yes, it's this giant.
yeah, it's
tunnel.
like
It's an
he
underground
closed
temple.
he closed the basement door when he was like 10 feet away from his mom, and you don't hear any running across the house. Like, oh hey, I gotta like sneak behind his mom down my other secret passageway. Like the dude was fast.
They should have had like an end credits scene where the neighbor's just walking, all of a sudden he falls through his floor, and then he lands in like a giant world of just this underground tunnel.
Just all these dead bodies.
Oh, yeah, he like digs tunnels under other people's homes.
Other people's homes, and just starts.
He's like, I'm beginning a network of mass serial killing. And
He's like the boogeyman,
show up
dude.
in your
He's under.
floorboards. Yeah, you just
He's
fall
who's
to the
under your
floor.
freaking bed at night, dude. I like my privacy.
Mr. Turner.
What
Oh my gosh. All right, so we end every podcast by sharing movies that we've seen lately and movies that we're looking forward to. Doc, have you seen any good movies lately or bad movies?
Yeah, a movie called Professor and the Madman, or The Professor and the Madman. So it's about the creation of the Oxford English Dictionary, and so they like how they used to just have people send in like slips of paper with the word, any word they stumbled across, and then this dude Mel Gibson played would like sit and work through the history of the word. It was really good.
Sean Penn and Mel Gibson. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I
I'll
love
have to
Mel
look this
Gibson.
one up.
I'll check that out.
That's hilarious. Awesome.
And then
any
anything
movies,
you're looking forward to?
Yeah, any movies you're looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, just the Marvel movies, I think, that are coming out. Yeah.
Awesome. What's the one you're looking forward to the most? Like, do you have a Marvel hero that you gravitate toward?
Well, not the new Captain America, because he sucks.
Do you know he's Kurt Russell's son, Ty?
The actor in Captain and Falcon, the new
The new
series
Captain
going on right now?
America.
I thought he looked familiar. I didn't know he was Kurt Russell's son, but yeah, he definitely does look.
Horrible,
you can
horrible
definitely see
actor.
it.
Not really.
Well,
I mean,
no,
I like.
wait, I would. Yeah, watch the show because you love to hate him. Actually,
Yeah.
like, without
Yeah, well, I mean,
spoilers, so
that's the
watch
only
it.
reason I know that. It's like I watched him, I was like,
Oh,
mm-mm.
okay.
Like, mm-mm.
Yeah, he's the worst, and I kind of like to hate him, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's gonna come. I'm pretty.
That's
sure,
probably the point.
Without giving spoilers, I've only seen
Yo.
the episode 3, but I'm pretty sure
Don't
he's gonna
say
turn out to be
anything.
the full blown
No, but
bad guy.
the guy from
that's all.
that reads comic books, Ty.
Yeah, I
that
was gonna say.
work with,
Yeah,
he
I've read
says that
comics.
you're supposed to hate him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a very different Captain America in the comic books, but it's a.
It gave me vibes of like what do you call it, the Watchmen, where it's like yeah.
It's probably it's like
You're
it's
the
like when
hero.
it's like when Steve Carell left The Office and they brought in what's his name, the other comedian with red hair. Yeah, I hated that dude. It's like I don't want to watch the show, but I have to now. I have to complete it.
I'm already 8 seasons into this thing.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm the same way. I remember The Office being my favorite show, and I'm pretty sure I didn't finish from season like 7 to 9 or something like that. I did watch the finale because I heard Steve Carell came back. Yeah, so I had a long separation from it, but then I finally did come back and finish it all, and I'm like, there, I did it. I watched it all the way through. Awesome. Well, everybody, leave us a review, 5 stars, please, or we'll sick Cameron on you, and he'll punch you out like his
And
high
then
school.
the last thing you'll hear
Spanish
is
teacher.
check us out on Spotify.
Check us out
Your
on Spotify.
line.
As you like slit their
Leave
throat.
leave us an email, futuremovies@gmail.com, if you want us to review a movie or have problem with something that we've said, or direct all your hate mail at Cameron. And everybody, thank you for tuning in. Doc, do you have any internet presence you want people to follow you on Twitter or Facebook?
Doc.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, follow me on Dorian P. Valesco. It's my Instagram. There you go.
Awesome. All right. Check him out, Dorian Belasco. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is Future of Hidden Movie Gems signing out. Peace.
Peace.
Whatever that kid says.